But it was the Bears. Okay, I know it's a division rival and I know all that stuff, but at the end of the day, this was a game the Vikings should have won. Okay, that's the lead. That being said, what is the most distinguished thing in this breakdown that we just did of the Vikings versus the past 14 weeks thus far? What has been different in this game versus the other 14 times we've talked about the Vikings? Chris, can you think of anything?
And then have Bridgewater throw the ball deep. They only attempted 20 passes, too. That's...
Yeah, I know, but let me get a bit more specific. What's a name we really only said one time where he's usually the focus of the whole breakdown?
Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson. All three of us talked about Teddy Bridgewater way more than we did Adrian Peterson in this game. Did it have to do with the fact he left the game? Well, no. I think we talked about him more because he left the game with that ankle injury. Beyond that, he would have just been a supporting stat line and an impressive... Okay, it was only 20 times. Yeah, it was only 20 times because they had three different guys run the football. And if you have three different guys successfully running the football, when people are playing up on you, daring you to throw it, is that not impressive enough? I mean, what else can you say? I know we've said it on this show that play action is the key for Bridgewater's success, but this piece here, I think you alluded to it, Chris, is kind of a confirmation that the coaching staff may have just figured out. Maybe the coaching staff is finally ready for Teddy. Weasel.
I'll just say this about the whole thing with one Adrian Peterson. Now, I would say he is not the best running back in the NFL. I think the best running back I think is the kind of player that all around player, pretty much 3-down back. The thing that happens with Peterson is that there are times when if he's out there on 3rd down or so, I've seen him whiff on blocks. Like there was one time I think 2 players were coming in, and instead of chipping one of them or anything like that, he just jumped out, rolled to the left, and saying, "Hey, throw it to me, I'm open," type of thing. But he already had 2 defenders in his face, so Teddy Bridgewater can do it. So, with the thing about having Jerick McKinnon and Asiata is that it gives Bridgewater some more protection. So he can make those touch passes, have that extra time. Where with Peterson, 1st and 2nd down usually. It's you run it or it's just you have that uncertainty. So I think that showed when the 2, McKinnon and Asiata, were both able to play. It helped Bridgewater, especially shown with the 17 of 20.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what the Vikings could do is, their fullback, Zach Lyon, was a running back for SMU. They could put him in their block if they really wanted to keep give a little more protection for him, because Zach Lyon's bigger than Asiata and McKinnon, and he blocked his hand when he was at SMU. So, that's an option. You go with an I formation, you can still roll Peterson out, which they do anyway.
Right.
But with the offense, what it looked like in this game, it was going back to like how the Vikings were in preseason. You're getting the ball, you're dumping the ball out. He's not trying to go deep on a lot of plays. They're decently running the ball. It wasn't just over 3 yards a carry. So it was decent running the ball, but that helped them with only 20 attempts. They put the ball in his hand because they had 36 rushing attempts.
And that's just the kind of team this Vikings crew is, with or without Peterson at current. That's just how I feel about it. I'll say this. McKinnon would even be a viable 3rd down option, because if you put a fullback out there in a single back form in 3rd down, they know you're not going to hand it to him. I don't know. Maybe that's a different topic all the way around. But yeah, Klein is there. I like what you're talking about in the eye. They've used it before. And if Peterson's not there, they could probably still do the same thing with Asiata. I love that name so much. It's not as cool as Whitney Merciless at the linebacker spot, but whatever. With that, we may just get our Week 17 rematch against the Vikings and Packers
And if the Vikings win next week, that final game will be for the division.
For all the marbles, correct. So, yeah, there you go. Next up, Falcons, Jags, taking the action over to the AFC South. Chris.
The Falcons get back on the winning side as they held on to beat the Jags 23-17. The Falcons have no shot at making the postseason this year, but the Jags' playoff hopes are still intact as they can still win the AFC South with just a little bit of help, which I doubt they will. But there's still a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
And Matt Ryan was 22 for 35 for 246 yards, a touchdown, and an INT. The INT was tipped at the line of scrimmage. Blake Bortles was 23 for 38 for 297 yards, a touchdown, and an INT. The INT came right before half at the goal line, which was intercepted by his former UCF teammate Kamal Ishmael, who returned it 84 yards, which Bortles did tackle him. You know, he couldn't even score, and the Falcons settled for a field goal.
I mean, as the guy on the panel who's the biggest Bortles fan, Chris, is there any point you're shouting at the TV going, "You had one job," and now you lost to the team that's lost 7 of their past 9? I'm just saying.
Yeah, you know, such a we all pick this team. You know, the Jags win this game, and right there, I mean, that right there was a 10-point swing. The Falcons. That put the Falcons up 17-3 because it was 14-3 at the time, and they were on the doorstep right before the half. And you know, you touchdown. Even if they just kicked the field goal, it would be 14-6. You're only down by 8. They ended up losing by 6. Now they lost. They were down by 14 going into half.
I think something that happened that could really turn things around for the Jags was that I believe it was. I would say late in the first half, Bortles overthrew Julius Thomas when he was going down the right sideline. It would have been, I would say, it would have been easy there for a 20-yard touchdown.
And he's gone.
And pretty sure that they had to settle for a field goal there, so could have changed the dynamics of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Bortles also was leading rusher for the Jags with 44 yards and a touchdown. Julius Thomas had 79, and Allen Robinson had 57 with a touchdown. For the Falcons, Devontae Freeman had 56 yards and a touchdown on the ground, and Julio Jones had 9 catches for 118 and a touchdown. The difference in the game was third down. Falcons were 50%, 7 for 14, and the Jags were 0 for 8. You're not going to win any games when you go 0 for 8 on third down.
Wow. Let me ask you, Chris, is it come to the point where, I mean, we've not really said this of a lot of Jags teams. I mean, they've got a long list from Fred Taylor to Maurice Jones-Drew, the kid they call Mojo, Natron Means, a lot of good guys in this young franchise that are solid runners. I think this could arguably be the weakest running back core in Jaguar history. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, and especially with T.J. Yeldon was out with an injury, their rookie running back. Mm-hmm. They drafted him this year, so all of it went on Denard Robinson. He played quarterback in Michigan.
Correct. So that is one of the weaker spots. Yeah. We're kind of shocked in the offseason when they let go of the other, UCF former running back Storm Johnson. He had a decent time when he came in last year at the end of the season. I mean, he had a few decent carries, but it is a weak spot. I mean, besides the offensive line and the secondary with the Jags, it's really running back is what they need to get on. I mean, really help. I think T.J. Yeldon's been battling injuries all season long. I mean, he missed minicamp because of injuries. So, well, there you go.
But also, real quick, since we're talking about the Jags, you got to talk about the kicker. Well, we don't need to worry about the music for the first time in 4 weeks.
Oh.
The kicker, Jason Myers, made both his extra points for this
good
game.
for him. Good for him.
Whatever. You said his name. I'm playing it. Anyways, because of the 2 kicks he missed that are currently keeping Jacksonville out of this race,
Gotta be so negative, you know?
They
Gosh.
still
The
have
truth
they still
hurts.
have a chance.
But he's telling me there's a chance. Anyways, yeah. So the Jags, are now sitting table scraps for the top of the AFC South, where you have the Texans facing off against the Colts for the de facto upper hand and the opportunity to control one's destiny. Now, both teams are playing backup quarterbacks. T.J. Yates and Matt Hasselbeck both started for their respective clubs, but neither would finish, both leaving the game early, where you eventually ended up with the epic matchup of Brandon Whedon versus Charlie Whitehurst. Boom, mediocrity at its finest. And you know what you get? You know what you get when you know what you rely on for the outcome of the game when you get offenses like this? A defense. The Colts don't have it. The Texans do. And even putting a double team after a chip block on J.J. Watt just wasn't enough to stop the Texans overall in the 16-10 victory. Give Brandon Whedon his credit. He went 11 for 18 for 105 yards with the game-winning touchdown. And, of course, though he didn't have a touchdown, the leading rusher on the day was one Alfred Blue.
You're my boy, Blue.
Weasel approves. He did lose a fumble on the day, but he was the leading rusher for the Texans. And if you don't like it, whatever, I still wanted to play that sound bite. Moving on. Frank Gore at 16 for 44 on the ground for the Colts. DeAndre Hopkins, guys, if this guy isn't a Pro Bowler, I'm going to be very upset. Though Jalen Strong did have the touchdown for the Texans on the day. 8 for 94 was Hopkins on his day. He was the top receiver in yards in the entire contest. Guys, got to ask, the Jags need a lot. Nobody really has completely sealed up this whole situation yet. But the Texans have control of the driver's seat. Yeah, I don't care. All they're playing for is the guy who's going to get eliminated in the first round. Moving on. Broncos, Steelers. This one was going to look interesting all along, and it did not disappoint. Weasel.
The Steelers at home defeated the Broncos 34-27. Steelers quarterback Big Ben Roethlisberger was 40 of 55, 380 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 INTs.
Put some egg on it. Roethlisberger.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
He was sacked 3 times. Steelers running back D'Angelo Williams, 14 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown. Steelers wide receiver.
That's all. Is that it really? Crack analysis, Weasel. Weasel.
Yeah, boy. Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown had 16 catches for 189 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a man among children. I think that's Deion Sanders. I think that's one of his things.
Isn't that a crime in some places? Anyway, moving on.
Wide receiver Marcus Wheaton had 6 for 62 and a touchdown. Broncos quarterback Brock Osweiler, 21 of 44, 296 yards and 3 touchdowns and 1 INT. He was sacked twice but had 5 scrambles for 19 yards and a touchdown. And that 7-yard touchdown run was followed by... Cue the music.
Uh-oh. Come on. There you go.
A missed extra point by Broncos kicker Brandon McManus. Yeah, he's done that before too, so... It's
not like Jason Myers.
Yeah. At least you're not Jason Myers.
That's you know what? I work in IT by day, but next time I go to get a job, I'm putting that as one of my skills. I'm not Jason Myers. That's so bad. Moving on.
You got Broncos running back Ronnie Hillman had 14 carries for 48 yards. He did lose a fumble on the Broncos' first drive, and it took only 2 plays for the Steelers to score their first touchdown off of it. Broncos wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders had 10 catches for 181 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, blown coverage. Wide receiver Demaryius Thomas added 5 for 61 and 2 touchdowns. So the game was a tale of 2 halves. At the first half, the Broncos were up 27-13. It would have been 28 if, he did that whole make the extra point thing. Anyways.
Wow.
During then, Osweiler bruised his left shoulder. So it must have affected him in the second half because those 3 touchdowns out of the main stats, everything came in the first half.
No, see, and I see where you're going, Weasel. But having watched the second half of that game, it would have affected him at first. But let me ask you this question.